Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to WrestleLine. I'm your host, John Scott, joined, as always, by my co-host, Matt Essex, and it's good to be back, and we're going out, actually, throwing Matt right into the lines down here. We are at live tonight. Just thought I'd throw that one in, no pressure. It's kind of weird now, because where we're not doing as many like shows, I think when we go live again, it's like always hits me a little bit that we're about to do it. But I feel pretty comfortable at this stage with everyone listening. That I've never had any sort of negative feedback in the way we present it, so must be doing a good job. But Matt, how you doing this week? And I know that you're. I still get emails asking, "Is Matt settled? Has he got internet?" They're really concerned about these little things, but Matt, you want to let everyone know that you're okay and you have moved out now and settling in.
Yeah, I'm all settled now. Just the small jobs to do, like putting up bathroom cabinets and curtain poles and all that. But it's all fine. The basics, the internet. I couldn't move in until I had the internet. That was the same week that I went in. It's an essential part. But yeah, all settled in now. Got my little cat and everything. So yeah, all fine on this front.
Yeah, new family member at the Essex household. So we're all good. So in the world of wrestling, of course, has been moving very, very fast, hasn't it? Since we last did a podcast, and some good, some bad, and some ugly. I think we're probably a good theme for this show, to be honest with you. But I thought we'll start at the top, and I don't want to go too far back and bringing everybody up to speed. But I thought we would do on the show, we'll do like a brief Evolution summary, not like a full review, but a summary. We'll go through each match, but we won't break it down as we normally do. Obviously the fallout from Raw and SmackDown, and of course the what's been popping in the news, pretty much what I've had all the emails about, WWE's Crown Jewel event at this time. Absolutely looks like 100% it stands that it will be in Saudi Arabia. So already seen some images of the crew that were out there actually from Saturday that were already putting together all the stuff, all the set and everything. So I think that that was always a go as soon as those guys were out there. But we'll talk about that and more. I'm sure there's going to be lots to go through. Of course, if you are listening live and you want to send in your point or what your feelings are, let us know. Will you be watching Crown Jewel? Or with all the negative vibe I've been getting from you guys on the emails, are you not going to watch it, to just make a stand? Let me know what your plans are on all this, and be glad to share all that with you. A lot of politics in all this, of course, to play, and a lot of money involved as well. But anyway, let's go to Evolution first, wasn't it? So we had the first ever. This was WWE's first ever, by the way, because I have seen there are promotions out there that are dedicated to female wrestlers that have been going on for years. Even in a time when WWE were calling their female stars divas, they had their own promotions. We've got a couple of them in the UK. We've had Rhea O'Reilly on before, where I remember she mentioned in London was like their first, I think it was the first ever all-female wrestling show, because it was banned at one time and stuff like that. So we have had these before, but of course this is WWE's, which obviously means the marketing machine is going to be in full use. And by God, wasn't it? Getting into this show, Matt. Now, I've got to be honest with you, Matt. Going into this show, we'd had Alexa Bliss turn up injured, and you was wondering to yourself, what on earth is going to happen now? Where are they going to go from here? And to be honest with you, the build to this was it was like in fragments. I mean, at one time, going back about a couple of months at Hell in a Cell now, we had the announcement of, wasn't it that the announcement of Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus? And then just out of nowhere, no build up or anything. And then it was Lita coming back, and then it was, Mickey James, and then they made it a tag match. All this kind of crazy stuff. And, like I said, the promotions to this, they've been very up and down. I mean, Nikki Bella, Ronda Rousey, really didn't go on all that long, but then again, maybe that was a good thing. There was some good moments in their feud. I felt like, particularly Ronda Rousey's segment about John Cena, I thought was probably the best promo. I know that Matt definitely felt that way because you messaged me that time. So I felt like that build was good. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, realistically, was that everything they needed? Did they go all in, no pun intended, with the first ever female show? Or was it a lucky break in the end? I'm not sure. But let's get into things, Matt, because obviously my real positive to this was the fact that they started with that tag team match, because I thought if you leave that and you've got it, I don't know, in the middle of the show or at the end of the show, wherever, I think people's expectations were going to be through the roof a little bit too much. And I was glad they put this match on first, because I think either way, however it went, this would always be a winner, because it's the first match of the night. And, you don't know. I mean, Trish Stratus hasn't, really been in a competitive match for a hell of a long time. Lita also. So, there are a lot of things to this. And then, of course, you have to have a new partner for Mickie James, and they changed that up as well. But I'll say that I was pleasantly surprised with this match. I felt like it. There were a few bits in it where I think there was a few little botches here and there, but then you probably expect that from talent that's not really that active. But to be quite honest with you, on a whole, I thought it was a really good match. And, it was good to see Trish and Lita there. I feel like of all the talent to sort of bring back, they're the two really that I probably would have, wanted to see the most. I don't think I want to see every single woman, out of just being plucked out of thin air because this is the Evolution pay-per-view. So I was quite happy with that. Now, what was your feelings on seeing Lita and Trish back and the match in general?
It was good to see them back, and I was quite glad that it wasn't a one-off thing. They made their appearance on Raw as well afterwards, and had another match, which was good. They actually had the intention to stick around a little longer. But the match itself, like you said, I thought it was pretty good and pretty solid, and they did well to make the best of what they had, considering the adjustments they had to make with the bringing Alicia into it, of course. But yeah, I think Alicia slotted in there perfectly. She's a good talent herself, and she's been there for long enough that she does deserve her little time there to shine. And being on the back of Alexa's injury, it's a bit of a shame, but still, I feel like she did a solid job on that. The only downside to it was that it was obvious by that point that they weren't going to win. That it was going to be pretty much one of those house show moments where the good guys were going to go over. But what else can you expect? I mean, he kicked the night off to a good start, and he got the fans all excited for what was to come, I guess.
Yeah, I will say. Let me just say this as well. The fans, I felt the crowd was a really good crowd. Like, they were really into the matches. Like, there was no sort of. I felt like everybody that was there kind of was there to support the females, and they wanted it to succeed. So I was really happy about that, the positive vibe, because going into this, there were a lot of negative stuff about ticketing and all the rest of it. Now, granted, I don't think it was full by any means. I think everyone would have noticed how they dimmed the lights very well that night, Matt. And, not only that, I believe they even broke the set down just that little bit more because they didn't want the whole back to be seen. So, I think, they do a good job with that WWE when they need to do it, but make no mistakes, it could have been sold out. This is what bothers me. I mean, they could have, if they'd have done a better job promoting this, then I think they would have had more people show up. But the way that the importance of this show, really, in the end, Matt, there was hardly anything going into this as to say, right, you really need to go and watch the show. I think, if I'm being honest with you, Matt, and I don't know what you think, but I think WWE take it for granted that they're always going to have WWE fans show up. no matter what they put on, NXT or whatever. Once they put their name to it, it's sold. And I think this is exactly what they've done with Evolution. I think they sold it on the fact that this was the first ever all-female show, and that was going to be enough. And clearly it wasn't. And they needed something a lot better. A lot better build and stick some more importance to it. But I think this is, unfortunately, this has been really crushed by the amount of pay-per-views that have been going on in the last 2 months and still ahead of us now. I really do feel like it was... I will say that, I think the more and more I think about it, is this just a deflection from saying why the women can't go to Saudi Arabia, so they get this put on now? I know when we spoke about this last time, I didn't think it was manipulated that way. However, now it's finished with the way this has come out, I kind of feel like maybe they have done it like that because the build-up wasn't there. I mean, it should have been, but for some reason they didn't do a very good job. And in the last couple of weeks building to this, they sort of rarely put anything there. It was so much about every other thing going on. That was just a bit of a shame for me. The fact that they didn't get enough people to just show up for the show. Because in the end, they did put a good performance on, but it was certainly better than a lot of the WWE pay-per-views in general that they've been putting on lately. So yeah, a little bit disappointing from that aspect. Matt, another mention here, the amount of... I know I said this to you, I was like cringing every time they put these interviews on between the matches, and there are a few of them, and they're talking about Evolution, it's going to change and everyone's going to be talking about it for years to come, and this great statement. It was the worst case scenario for me. I kept saying before this, like, please don't keep saying it, and of course they did. That was just so like, just stop talking about it and just be in the moment, as opposed to keep talking about this like it's a tribute or something, or it's a celebration rather than the pay-per-view. So yeah, some of those interviews were a little bit too much for my liking, and way too overboard. And certainly we'll talk about some of the other stuff regarding some photos that came out afterwards, but that didn't help either. But yeah, I just hated that whole, we should be thankful, we should be happy because WWE are allowing this. Like, just come on, like, why? If they really are evolving, then they need to get past these stupid things, because I'm pretty sure every male pay-per-view I see, or if there was something like that never been done, I don't think they'd stick Brock on, or Kurt Angle, or whoever else, Seth Rollins, to do these interviews saying how thankful they are and coming out of character almost to do it. It's just ridiculous. So those things really got on my nerves somewhat. I think some positive feedback I got, Matt, was the the Storm match. I think everybody quite enjoyed that, watching her. And someone who's only 23, I mean, do you think she's got it about her, Matt? I know we've seen her as well a few times, but has she got it about her to sort of get on that main roster and make a name for herself? Because she sort of ticks a lot of boxes, well, for Vince anyway.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think she has. It's like they said before in the previous year when she was in the Mae Young Classic. She's wrestled in a ridiculous amount of countries, like about 14 or something. By the age of like 21, and it's just like that's an experience you can't really buy. And she's wrestled in Japan and Germany and England and all over the world. So it's pretty good that she's coming into this, and it's almost like she's at the point where some wrestlers have wrestled the whole career and actually not had this kind of wealth of experience. So she's got a lot to draw upon, and of course now being involved with NXT UK as well is a great foothold in the company. And what better way to actually make a massive leap and hit the broader audience by winning the actual the Mae Young Classic. I mean, it just goes to show, doesn't it? If you're that interested in your dream, you want to pursue it that hard, you can be just like her and do it. And I hope a load of women out there watching this classic and can actually draw from this showcase that she's put on, and actually maybe follow in her footsteps some way down the line.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. definitely. She's got the ability again to be a big star. You really think that, but yeah, I mean, just reading about her just here. I mean, wrestling since the age of 13. You know, you're going to be good by this point, and you know, it's kind of the same sort of background that Paige had as well. You know, you think she was so young, but yet so experienced, more experienced than most of the other female